So Nicola, do you not like me dancing? Is that what you're talking about?
I do like you dancing. I do think it is quite cool. I just get embarrassed dancing.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes better.
So if you haven't noticed, like because of Owen's worked this out, we can actually like make it look like I'm talking to Owen specifically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's really amused him. And myself and Nicola as well. But anyway, hello and welcome to Free2talk TV, our little news catch-up of the week's happenings. I'm James. You know Nicola, and you know Owen, our youth correspondent. So if you are watching, please give us a like, please give us a comment, just so we know you're there. And if you want to ask us any questions about the stuff we're talking about, you can put it in the chat. I can see it, I can refer it to the rest of the team, and all will be good for the world. So how is everyone this week?
I'm doing all right, thanks, James. I'm doing not too bad. But this week's been a little bit strange, don't you think? Bit of weird weather. Bit of rain this morning. We had lovely warm weather yesterday.
That actually reminds me of so there's been storm names like Storm Francis, Storm Laura, all these different names. And my favourite thing about the storm that's happened this week is that when it storms in America has been really, really bad, obviously caused lots of damage. But the hurricane has torn over the statue of a Confederate general or something in one of these towns in America, obviously, confederacies, like the right-wing stuff, whatever. But the storm tore it down just after the local parish voted to keep it up.
Oh
no!
Took over, didn't it? Fate just decided that actually that was the wrong vote. Take it down.
It's just amazing. That's the pure coincidence of
God
that
said
happening.
no.
Yeah, God said no.
I do not like that Confederate.
God got his vacuum cleaner and went.
Yeah, really funny.
So
the storms have been quite interesting. I mean, the storms early in the week, we had to shut the windows in the flat I am in because it was just too much.
The wind
scary. We had some scaffolding go up outside the flats this week as well, and the workers kind of put it up and went nope.
They also closed the road near View Cinema in town centre, fear of the roof over breaking apart again.
Yeah, because
that was closed for the week.
Last year. Last year.
Earlier
in the year. Yeah, it was bad.
It was last year that the roof went belly up, so they've thought to prepare for themselves for the high winds.
Well, that's good, isn't it? That's at least something.
Yeah, it was very good. A little bit annoying for me because I was going to go up there.
Oh wow!
But I had to go round. Imagine going through rush hour traffic.
And also locally, the wind blew the rest of my hair off. Which is really terrible thing.
Had you grown a few strands last week?
Yes. Since last week, it had grown about this much.
Gosh.
What, really? Did you go full on Elvis?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I feel we should have had photos.
I think we need photo evidence of this, James.
Anything.
Photo evidence of this, James. Unfortunately, this is a little bit skeptical.
I almost feel like we need to recreate it with a high-powered fan.
Yeah, hi Sherlock. We've got a mystery for you, and we think we need you to solve it.
Maybe you can start blowing up with Owen like this, and then see if... Go on.
He's gonna have a massive mullet on his beard instead. Those little big afros.
Unfortunately, all the photographic evidence of me with hair is pretty much long gone, really, because Facebook wasn't invented yet.
You had MySpace.
No, it's even before MySpace. To be honest, MySpace was still in its infancy by the time I kind of got.
How old are you?
Olden days.
How the olden days? I'm 38, Owen.
I was going to say James is younger than me. I don't even know why I'm not. I'm saying anything. I just need to be quiet.
Have a go. Terrible. Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad everyone's doing well. So yeah, if there's any news people would like to talk about who are watching, just put it in the comments or just say hi, and I'll share it here with everybody else.
Ask us random questions. Make this interesting. It'll be even better instead of we're not talking about
what really happened to James's hair? How did it really go and leave his head?
Yeah, what really happened to your James?
Yeah, so if you do want to know what really happened to my head, I'll tell the story at the end. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah. Go on then.
keep people watching in anticipation.
Absolutely, I think that will make all the difference.
Yes,
This will be
yes.
Right. Anyway, so I mean, we've kind of talked about some of the things before the show that we wanted to cover, but Owen, what do you want to bring up first?
Okay, so I want to bring up something that is quite close and local for me, and that's the Green Core sandwich factory.
Yeah.
Recently, I read in the newspaper yesterday that they're slowly introducing workers back into their facilities in small numbers, which is understandable because it's a big business and it's probably one of the more like demanding ones because it's a sandwich company. It's food, it's sustenance. But this is a thing that James, you mentioned to me, and that's that some of the workers haven't actually left at all. That they were still open in the time that they were supposed to be in lockdown.
Yeah. So I mean, from what I've gathered is all of the, should we say, frontline workers in the factory, the ones actually making the food. Yes, they're not there, but what the stock is still being distributed, like the stock they've got, because obviously this factory still needs to make money. And even though the government has said you must lock down, the business as a whole is still operating. Now, they are apparently having a deep clean of the factory grounds, but there's been some concerns from the other workers because they've gone, well, we still have to work we've still worked in the same areas as all these people. We're still doing car sharing. And in actual fact, there's a few cases where you've got relationship between people that work in different areas of the factory. So it could be a husband who works on the factory floor and is, been tested positive for COVID and has to isolate, but his wife, who works in distribution, is still going to work. So,
like,
I'm a little bit kind of like, well, it's not. They're not isolating properly, are they?
No.
And presumably nobody's really checking that as long as somebody's in doing their job. If they've not tested positive, I suppose.
Yeah. Like, I can understand that if they're still having to distribute the sandwiches into like lorries to distribute across the country, I can understand that can be acceptable because it's usually just maybe the guy that stacks with a forklift into the truck, maybe one person inside the truck, and then the guy driving. Maybe that's okay because that's 3 people. But I don't know. My dad works in distribution, so he sort of understands this better than I do. But I can understand that if the people are working on the sandwiches, like placing bread, ham, cheese, mayonnaise into making the sandwich itself, obviously that might be a little bit different.
Yeah. So I suppose it's just, I mean, we can hope that everything is being done safely and correctly, and the things I've read about it, that not actually having closed down is they're still as safely as possible, I presume. But from all the news, the latest updates I can get about Green Core are that the actual people that do the production aren't in work, or the latest news they're gone in slowly, as you said.
So I think that's a good idea, to be honest. That's actually quite good that they've done that. Distribution may be a bit different, but for the main key workers who are actually making the sandwiches, of course, it's going to be that's a good call, I think. Obviously, it is a big company, so they are trying to get their workers back in so they can keep going to make money because it is a big company. I've got 2 major factories near me. I hesitate driving past them sometimes, but it's what it is.
I mean, I think you're fine just driving past them.
I'll be fine driving past it, but you just have that feeling of just driving past somewhere where it has a massive virus outbreak, and you're like, I don't really want to be here. I'm in the right-hand lane, speeding quickly.
Obviously, with the speed limit, Owen, come on.
No, don't worry. I came to the speed limit, but I'm in the outside lane, and let's just say I might be doing about 40, 42 maybe.
Yeah.
If it's 45, then it's a problem.
Okay. All right.
But I do keep to the speed limit. I've got a black box in my car.
We're not advocating speeding on this show from Free.
Oh no, obviously not. I keep to the speed limit.
What you need to be doing, James, is I think you need to be, looking directly down at Owen.
Right, Owen.
Exactly.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. There we go. All the greatest technological CGI in Free2talk TV studio.
No expense spared.
No expense spared. Right, okay. So we've got the local stuff of Green Core. Now, there's one thing I wanted to talk about, which I found really scary, should we say. It's more international happenings in America. I don't know how much people have seen what was going on in the place Kenosha, where a black man was shot in the back 7 times.
In front of his wife and children, wasn't it?
In front of his wife and children. Now, there's been lots of stuff said about this. So I'm just going to go from the evidence that I've gathered. Is from what I can find is he called the police due to some other people having a fight, because he stopped his car to do the right thing, and then when he's walked off to get back in his car to drive his children away, a police officer has come up behind him and shot him in the back 7 times, which is obviously horrific. Now that's one end of the story, but what's happened since then has happened in America, lots of places of America, is like riots, protesters, all this mixture of emotion. And what's happened most recently is there's been two protesters or rioters or whatever, 2 people have been shot and killed by a 17-year-old boy with an assault rifle. And the actual story is he's gone to this protest to protect property. He shot one person. He's then being chased by the rest of the group because obviously he shot and killed somebody, and then he's shot and killed someone else, and then he's walked away from this incident with people on video shouting he's just murdered 2 people towards the police, and they have ignored him. So
it's a massively interesting story, isn't it? I mean, that these group, because they're an organised group, aren't they? They sort of go and like they're allowed to go out and protect property and stuff, but with rifles. So you're thinking it's almost inconceivable in this country to imagine that we'd allow 17-year-olds to go and stand outside the local co-op with like a gun of some description, whereas in America, that seems to be perfectly acceptable. The police were giving them bottles of water and seeing how they were and doing well-being checks. And you're thinking, actually, it should, is this going to be quite healthy? You think high emotion and you're there with them.
I mean, the scary thing for me, Owen, you're older than 17, but can you even imagine?
Oh no! Oh no!
I think my girlfriend forgot we were live. Right, so I'm just gonna do this so everyone knows, because obviously there's been lots of Zoom issues. I do have trousers on. There we go. I do have trousers on, or shorts anyway. I'm not just sat here in my pants. There's nothing embarrassing going to happen. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Oh god, here we go.
Hi, everybody. Right, so let's just. There we go.
Oh god.
We
were talking about something so serious, and then that happened.
At about 2 minutes to 12, she did knock on the door. I muted my mic before we went live. And went, you're going live, aren't you? I went, yes. I was going to do some hoovering. Okay, I'll be live for about an hour. Okay, and then she just completely forgot. So yeah. 1 second.
Oh well, these technical glitches happen, don't they? I mean,
Technical. We just need a screen to say technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Yeah.
Right.
Just avert your eyes. So good.
Where's the bleach?
She's trying to do some cleaning, to be honest. So it's all a bit mad. It's all a bit fun. Hold up, right? So I'm just going to get this for future reference, just so I can keep it. So we're going to go like this. We're going to go there. We're going to go into downloads. I'm going to click that, and then there we go. Technical difficulties.
Please stand by. Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
We were talking about the 70-year-old gunman. So Owen, going back to you. So can you even imagine having a gun at your current age, let alone a couple of years ago?
Oh, hang on a minute. I've got a phone call.
It's all going well today, isn't it? I'm just thinking, what can go next?
What can go next? So I think for me and you, Nicola, then, I mean, the scariest thing about this for me is it's a 17-year-old who's allowed to have what they call an AR-15, so it's an assault rifle. So it's an automatic weapon that you would normally give to a soldier. And even ignoring the whole situation of the protest or what is happening in America, what has happened in America, giving a 17-year-old child, because it is a child, isn't it?
It is a child, A
weapon of war is just mind-boggling, isn't it?
It's terrifying. You think actually, how many people really would you trust with a gun anyway? Let alone, there's nothing. I think there has to be a level of maturity and managing your emotions quite well. And actually, clearly, this situation would indicate that just was not a good call. But I think, to be standing there with an actual reason, with the police watching you and asking if you're okay and if you want a bottle of water, which makes it socially acceptable there, doesn't it? Mm. And then it's always like that shock that, oh my God, why would this happen? It's like, really, why would this not happen? This is obvious it's going to happen, isn't it?
I mean, you said there an interesting thing, socially acceptable. Socially acceptable if you're white. Isn't it?
Obviously, perfectly acceptable if you're white, and you, on your social media feed, do lots of research about all this, and going out and being part of this militia group, wasn't he? And he was also a member of the cadets program for the local police and fire department. So he was perfectly acceptable to do all this. But yes, obviously, if you was a young black person, it wouldn't be okay. No, just.
So here's an interesting thing as well that Lewis has put up. Apparently, the gun wasn't even registered.
That's well, when it comes to like owning a gun, my uncle he owns 2 shotguns, and he's personally got one for myself when we go clay pigeon shooting on his land. It's private land, so it's completely fine. So I will admit I have shot a proper gun, and I'll admit that to the world. But I know that with any sort of gun that you have, you must tell the police, like the police, that you've got a gun and have it registered by them, so that they know that you have it. And obviously, when you're going to use it, you inform them as well, so that you don't get any reports of like anything going on with it. And apparently, they can also be tracked as well, so that you put a tracker in them as well. So if the gun isn't registered, then clearly it's really a no-go mode.
Yeah, I mean, but that's America all over, isn't it? I mean, our gun laws are very strict. I've shot guns as well myself. Shotguns, similar situation to yourself. My friend, their parents had a massive farm. I'm from originally basically from the middle of nowhere, and it was common for farmers to have shotguns, but they didn't have a semi-automatic or fully automatic assault rifle. I mean, or in America, where you can go to a shop and you can get a machine gun. A machine gun intended for war. You can just go shoot them or buy them, do whatever you like. And they're not even that expensive. I mean, for the AR-15, that 17-year-old, I say it's not that expensive, was wielding, costs, for the last time I checked, about $1,400, which is probably about 1,200 quid.
Yeah.
So less than a car, less than a motorbike, you can get a gun. And that's not even taking into account the cost of a handgun, that anyone can access, really. I mean, it's quite scary. I mean, especially in this situation where you have Tamir Rice, who was a 12-year-old black boy who was shot by police because he had a toy gun.
Yeah, and you've got then this young man standing in front of the police with a semi-automatic rifle, and but that's perfectly acceptable because he's white.
Yeah.
Shocking.
It's very scary. I mean, it's scary because we've got a lot of young people that we work with who are of an age that if they were in America, get a gun, really, without issue.
Because probably have to show evidence of their age, but yeah.
Well, yeah,
it's a bit.
There's evidence of that not even happening in a lot of places in America.
Yeah.
So when a lot of so we say politicians in America want stringent gun laws and they get shouted down, oh, you're not take more guns, you know, I just think you're mental. You're just,
because all that thing, I mean, those pro-gun people, it's all about, well, I'll just get a bigger gun. Yeah, no, you know, I need this to protect myself. Actually, you know, if you got rid of all the guns, actually, it wouldn't be such a big thing, would it? You wouldn't need to protect yourself quite so much.
Just look at here in the UK.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have our own problems in the UK anyway.
Yeah, we have a lot of knife crime at the moment. You know, that's a big issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not nice.
But gun crime isn't on the same scale at all. And I do like to. I mean, there have been instances of the British police that are responsible for being armed response units. You know, any time they fire a weapon, they get investigated for weeks, if not months afterwards. Whether they shoot someone or not, from what I can gather, to make sure that as many people as possible are protected. And we do go up in arms if, I mean, when was someone was shot and there was lots of questions about whether it was legal or not to shoot them. But it's been investigated and it will be investigated because that's kind of what our laws are. But yeah, so, I mean, I fired a gun. I don't really want to fire an assault rifle. I don't know about you, Owen, even though you fired a shotgun like me.
Yeah. See, when it comes to like sort of gun things, this is just my personal opinion. In like sporting situations, like in the Olympics of clay pigeon shooting, or target shooting, for instance, in like a sporting event, I can accept that. I can accept that sort of thing. Maybe killing animals with a shotgun, like pheasanting, I might allow getting away with that, in my opinion. But I don't like things getting killed. But any other situations, I don't really agree with the use of weapons in any situation like that. Yeah. I'll happily stand by these words I'm going to say now, that the UK, out of the majority of the world, has the fewer officers carrying around a weapon as such. The most that they carry is probably like a normal taser, for instance, which is enough to give about, I'm not sure what the voltage is for a normal taser, but it's enough to lock them up, lock their muscles even, and then get them restrained and not having to kill them. I walked around New York and every officer I saw had a weapon that you could be used to actually kill someone. A taser doesn't kill someone. So
in terms of those police, sorry, Owen, but in terms of those police carrying those guns in America, how does that make you feel? How different does that make you feel?
It makes me feel, I know that they want to do good and everything, but it just makes me feel that, I don't know if I'm allowed to even say this, but it makes me feel like I'm around terrorists in some description, because the terrorists do exactly what they think is right. The police do what they think is right, but they're using guns. So really, who really is in the right? Like, if you want to be better than someone, don't do what the other person who's doing the wrong thing. Don't do what they do. It's kind of why I like the fact that the police force in the UK, as much as it might not be the best of the best at the moment, like they have like improvements that they can do, but at least if they are under attack by something, they can at least be a bit better of stopping it without having to take a life. I believe that if someone takes a life and the police force doesn't stops them without having to take their life, that's a more justified reason, because then the person that is in the wrong could be properly justified through a court system and all that. If they get shot and killed, basically speaking, they're getting the easy way out of it.
Yeah, and I suppose if in that situation in America, that male black victim, actually, if they'd have tasered him, even though he was not in the wrong at all, actually he wouldn't be paralysed now, would he? He wouldn't, you know,
No, he wouldn't be
these
paralysed.
riots would have been avoided. These riots would have been avoided. Actually, it would be a completely different outcome, wouldn't it?
Yes. So as I do like the police, and I know that they do what they need to do what is right. But I do believe that the UK's police force, even though we do have some armed police around like major places like the Queen's Palace, the Parliament Building. I'm not sure if there's armed police officers by 10 Downing Street. I'm not 100% sure. Like the major key little areas like that of power, then that's an exception. But all the other police force around the country, I will happily say that I prefer them over any other police force that I meet in any other country that I go to. I feel more safer with those police officers than I am with others. But that's just my general opinion, and I'll happily stand by my words about that.
Yeah.
That's fair enough, actually.
Yeah, I mean, America's got a huge problem with gun violence anyway. I mean, last year, I think Brazil had the most gun related firearm related deaths or murders in the world. America being second, but like the top 10 are all countries based in North or South America, which so as a whole continent or continents, there's issues there. I mean, in the 90s, there was a mass shooting in Australia. There's a comedian. I can't really. He's a bit blue, should we say? lots of swearing. But he's an Australian comedian who I really, really like. And one of his best things is one of his best skits is about gun and firearms. And he talks about how in Australia there was a mass shooting there, and the government went, right, no guns. Right, we're taking all of them. No, you're not allowed. And within months, gun-related crime dropped by half straight away when they just took away all guns, and then went to the criminals to take their guns. And in Japan, I think for a decade they've had no gun-related crime or deaths.
That's good. That is very good.
And I just look at that and go, America, I think you might be doing it wrong. But that's
surely
my
not.
opinion.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Everyone has their own opinions about things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the evidence. I mean, you hear so many of these things in America, though, don't you? These mass shootings in schools and stuff are so scary, aren't they? Can you imagine? That they're rare elsewhere in the world, aren't they? But in America, they're quite common, aren't they? They're huge numbers, and yet they still do nothing about it, do they? Their response is always, "Well, we'll just get like the teachers will just have a gun in their desk or something, or have that on them." So if there's a shooting in school, we'll be like teachers will have the responsibility to kill that person.
I mean,
who wants that? Can you imagine if that's your job as a primary school teacher, but you can have your gun next to you and just shoot somebody if they come in?
It's like their answer to everything. It's like, okay, so the firemen have had to go to this fire, but it's a gangland area. Let's give them guns.
Yeah, they don't need hoses. Just guns.
Give them guns to put out the fire.
Hoses are more powerful, to be perfectly honest.
Well,
powerful jet of water can knock them over easy.
Yeah, but they don't want to knock him over, though, Owen, do they? Come on.
No, it's America. They want to shoot to kill, Owen. That's their adage,
trigger happy,
really, isn't it?
Trigger happy people they are.
I just, it's still, I think about it. I mean, and my brain melts a bit. To be honest, it's a bit like it just doesn't compute. It just doesn't compute. You can give some of these gun-toting Americans these facts that, well, if you regulate it, gun crime goes down. No, don't believe it.
I need a bigger gun.
Yeah, I need a bigger gun. The only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. That's one of the sayings they've had as well.
That's their saying, which I don't think is true. I think they're just doing that just because...
you don't think that?
No, I don't think that's true. I think they're just thinking about their massive loins, should we say.
Oh, okay. So guns are a replacement.
But
yeah, it's a bit mad. Right, anyway, I do want to move on to a couple of other news reports. One which kind of is important for all our young people, and one that's a bit more light-hearted. So the first one is, I said it last week, U-turn after U-turn after U-turn by our glorious government. And there's been another one. There's been another one. Boris Johnson has made a U-turn on face masks in schools. So what was actually happening was Boris was saying, no school needs face masks. That's what he was saying. No, don't need face masks at all. But after Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister of Scotland, has said, no, you have to have face masks in school. Whenever you travel down corridors, areas which are quite close-knit, you have to wear a face mask to go from class to class. And the UK government in England have said, okay, we'll meet you halfway, and have said in areas with high COVID cases, or the highest COVID cases or local lockdowns, they will wear face masks. So how do we feel about that, one and all?
I mean, in theory, I suppose it's a reasonable idea, but I think the reality is, I think we have to be realistic about this. Especially in secondary schools, most of these young people are walking to and from school together with each other. They'll be sitting like next to each other, relatively close in classrooms, and not wearing a mask. So is that going to make any difference wandering down a corridor wearing a mask? What is that going to prevent in general?
Well, I don't know, really. I mean, after speaking with my friend Nick last week, he was on here as a teacher, that the schools have apparently been trying to make things better. But surely should we just make everyone wear a mask at all times when they're travelling with other people?
Well, yeah, maybe that's it. I think it's very difficult to enforce. I just think your group of people that you're trying to do this on, it's just tough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's one of them. It's like, I think doing it could work. Will it work? I don't know. I will admit I'm not a doctor.
No? What about scientists? Are you a scientist?
Well, I do like reading about science, and I do read as much science as possible. And I do try and educate myself to the best of my ability, but I'm not a scientist. So everything I say is based on my own opinion, my own judgment.
It's tough, isn't it? It's a tough one.
It is tough. But I feel, though, that this issue isn't going away. It's not going away. So in light of this, I've only read it this morning, so I haven't managed to do my research on it, which I generally try and do. But apparently in Florida, after you're just looking at me weirdly, Owen, it's really weird. When I'm looking at it on camera.
I'm getting intrigued.
We're in Florida, after opening up all their schools, because in Florida they've gone back to school earlier, 9,000 students have tested positive for coronavirus.
Okay, yeah. I suppose it's a bit like that sandwich factory, isn't it? I would imagine it spreads quickly in these indoor environments. But how many of those out of all of those died?
Got a few questions.
Yeah. So Jodie's come on. She's said, so do young people need face masks? Some won't have reusable ones. Well, yeah, because reusable ones cost money. Who's going to pay for that?
Exactly.
I mean, in our situation with our charity, when we've done stuff in close proximity, we've had hand sanitizer and those masks available, but at our own cost. So who's going to fit the bill? I think that's a question, because Northampton is still high, but from what I've gathered, and what I've read from local stuff and local health to do with Northampton, is because our rate went skyrocketed, but only because of that one area, they deemed it wasn't still high overall. So that's why they kind of didn't do a local lockdown.
Right.
But Jodie has asked, Owen, do young people wear them at the moment when you've gone out?
So
you don't need to name names. I should put.
No. I won't name names. When I go into a shop, I wear a mask. I've got a reusable cleaning sort of one here, and in the past, I have used this one, which is old now, which I've used since February.
Is that you've used that since February? Is that one you should throw away though, Owen?
I pretty much should throw that away, but then again, I used that for my tour in February, and I want to keep it, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough.
But I have seen that not many young people wear masks outside. When they go into shops, however, I have seen them put a mask on, which I'll happily say that they do that, and I'm happy about that. But when they're outside the shop where there's a bit more fresh air and stuff and open areas, they don't wear a mask. But I'll say, yeah, definitely. So to answer your question, they do wear a mask when they have to go into places that demand wearing a mask.
Yeah. Okay, well that's cool. But do you think then, Owen, that with the young people saying going back to school or college or whatever, do you think when you're in that situation, you're in that area, you should wear a mask?
I'll happily say on behalf of the Northampton College, they have put in measures that if you're anywhere in the building, unless you're in a classroom, you're wearing a mask.
Okay.
If you're in a classroom, because some of the subjects are small class based anyway, depending on the room as well, you don't need to be wearing a mask when you're in there, because for me, my course, acting, I'm quite physical and movable, and I use my voice quite a lot, so wearing a mask would be a little bit more challenging. But when I'm going to be walking around the college to like the toilets or the stairs or leaving the college building, anywhere in the corridors, I'm going to be wearing a mask because it's now apparently the school college rules. And I think that's a definite enforcement. And they put that in 2 months before even schools were even considered to be opened again. They were preparing for it, and they got it out ready. So Northampton College are being prepared for everything by the looks of it. They've got hand sanitizers everywhere.
So apparently Jodie said that's the same as the uni. But I just want to say hi, Emma, because you've got hello. Hi, Emma. Before we carry on. Okay, so, I mean, it's one of them.
If I can happily say, look, the colleges and the unis will probably be a bit easier because they're larger complexes, really, to be honest. Secondary schools and primary schools, they're going to be a bit more challenging. Secondary school, they'll probably enforce it a bit more, but with like little children, they're going to be fiddling about with it, with masks mainly, won't they? They'll be fiddling about
distracting for them.
Will.
I think teachers trying to teach, they've already missed a huge amount of education. Let's be honest. They have missed 3-4 months of education. They may have been having some teaching at home, but it's not the same as being in school with your peers and with your teacher. So they've already missed that, and actually they're going to go back and they're just going to sit and fiddle with a mask while while they're trying to be taught.
If I'm going to
I do it anyway. I fiddle with my glasses all the time. Just with glasses.
It's difficult, isn't it? And you think when you've got 30 kids in your class or however many because actually schools haven't got the space to have only 15 children in each class, because most schools are just a certain size, aren't they? They don't have extra classrooms. And if they're all going back full time, how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got. So Boris earlier in the week was visiting schools in Leicester, which obviously has just come out of a lockdown. So, yeah, you can see everyone's right next to each other. Boris is definitely closer than 2 meters there, not keeping his distance. So,
wait, can you zoom in? Can you zoom in on that picture a minute? Zoom in a little bit more on Boris.
That's as close as I can do just at the moment, because I've just it's just a picture.
Tell me, can everyone in the stream see a little bit of a coincidental note about Boris right now?
Well, what's he done?
He's not wearing a mask.
Oh!
Yeah, he's not wearing a mask there.
No, he's not. But I think looking at this classroom, this is probably what classrooms look like, isn't it? It's a small room with long desks where the only way you can teach all the children or young people is sitting them like that. Do you think that's true? Really?
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. Lots of them are old-built. Even purpose-built new schools don't have that much space.
No,
every inch is utilised.
Every inch is utilised to fit the amount of children that they're expected to have for each classroom. So,
I mean, Actually, I mean, I think it's kind of ironic here because I went to back in where I'm coming from in Sandwich. It was a very, very old building, like Victorian building, and I think it's a bit ironic that the older buildings, because they had segregation of boys and girls, had massive corridors. Right?
Right, okay.
And actually, my school, the classrooms, the oldest, a couple of the older style classrooms, were actually huge. Like, because it was like they always had this. You had a single desk for a student, and then a massive gap, then a single desk, and a massive gap. So, ironically, some of the older places fare better than the new builds. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen some of the older style schools.
Not in Northampton particularly, mainly.
No.
There was one over in Sandy. When I went in Sandy, there was this amazing school which was in this huge old building with massive corridors and huge classrooms. But there's not that many schools here, I don't think, with such a layout, is there?
I don't know, but I know that there was my old primary school, Barry Primary School.
I was there actually not long ago.
Yeah, that was my primary school, and that's quite an old building. The annex, the other big building, the annex, that was purposely built for a school. But the main old building that's by the road, that's been there since like the 1800s, I think. If I remember,
really old, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is old, and strange enough, I can roughly remember that they have got wide corridors. I know there was only one. There's two corridors I know of which lead to the main hall, which are quite narrow. But all the other bits of the school, it is quite wide. It is quite wide. So I guess there are some old school buildings here and there. I can happily say that's Barry Primary School. I know a few others. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but I can picture other old buildings of primary schools.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens next week. So I suppose with all of our young people. So if you are going back to school and you are watching, or if you've got any questions about it, or let us know what your schools are doing. Really.
Please. We would like to know so we can have an understanding about it.
Yeah. But help in any way we can.
These two have finished school. I've just done college, so we don't know what it's going to be like if you're in primary or secondary.
What Nicola, you finished school, have you?
No, not at all. Do I look old enough to have finished school? No.
No.
We haven't established that I'm the oldest one on here at all. No, so
no.
Of course, that
Definitely
is not the case. But yeah,
James looks like he's in reception still.
Absolutely. We are young. Yeah, we definitely get mistaken for students all the time. No.
I was on that conversation actually yesterday with my girlfriend about me not really having many wrinkles or stuff, but it's basically because I'm a geek and I never go outside.
No exposure to the sun.
No exposure to the sun keeps me young. Right, but keeping on the subject of Boris. So my absolute, because obviously I love Boris. I love Boris.
I know.
We love talking about Boris on the show.
He's a gaff a minute, is Boris. Now, my absolute favourite story of Boris this week is a story of Boris and a librarian. I don't know if many people have seen this. So, Boris, I think it was in the same school that.
I think it was. It was in the same school, yeah.
And Boris. I'm just going to bring up this picture. So Boris was at a school doing a talk, and behind him was some bookcases of the library, and then people on Twitter and stuff started taking note of the books that were there. So I'm just going to put this on the big screen. So I'm just going to zoom in. So the books we've got are Subtle Knife, Fahrenheit 451, The Twits, as some of them, Betrayed, The Resistance. So what's happened is, like, loads of people on Twitter have said, well, this librarian is a hero for putting all these books in the background to basically troll the Prime Minister and the Tory government. And one of the favourites they've pointed out is that there's a mystery book known as The Exodus, which is set in a dystopian future in which global warming has caused the ocean to rise, and the heroes are dispossessed migrants desperately seeking refuge by boat. And I think it's just amazing. This has come up. All these books are about either the twits or dystopian futures. And obviously, people think it's been trolling Boris Johnson, and I think it's one of the funniest stories of the week.
But actually, she was just getting at her school, wasn't she? The management in school, the senior leadership team there. It was nothing to do with Boris at all. Bless her.
No, it wasn't. So what actually happened, and this is the best thing, because this is from the Metro, is that she arranged these books 6 months ago in protest against the school, and like I think that the money they were providing for a library, and she was talking about these books are about stories of people taking books away in a dystopian future. And what's happened? She arranged it there 6 months ago, and nobody's touched them. Nobody's moved them or rearranged them.
Nobody even noticed, did they?
But
nobody
noticed. Nobody noticed. So
no,
wouldn't you think Boris would have just at least looked where he was going to stand and just be like, "Oh wait, hang on, this is
not really."
No.
So she's quoted as saying, "It just became untenable to carry on working there because of the lack of support I had, and I was left with no choice but to resign. That's why I decided to leave them a big message during my last week. They obviously never actually noticed, and it went untouched for 6 months." I mean, coincidence. This is a massive coincidence, but it couldn't be funnier.
Any better.
I mean, you couldn't. To be honest, you couldn't have probably arranged that if you tried to do that.
No, you wouldn't, because people would have been. People would have given it away, wouldn't they? Because they'd have been like nervous about it. The fact that nobody even in the school had any idea about it was probably ideal, wasn't it?
Crazy, absolute crazy talk.
It is madness.
I still love it. Anyway, so we're coming kind of towards the end, I suppose, of our time with everybody. So should we do what we normally do and talk about nice things from the week that we've had, or things we're most looking forward to?
Oh yeah,
because I know Owen has been itching to talk about his fun thing, haven't you, Owen?
Yeah.
Go on then.
I will. So last week on Saturday, just the day after we did this, the DC fandom, like the fan live sort of stream sort of thing, was going on for the past weekend. Mm-hmm. And we got our first looks on some new things that are happening, new games, new content, new films, new TV. But the one that sticks out for me is because I've been keeping up to date with this, and this is the first time I've heard and got information about it. They actually dropped a little teaser of the new Batman trailer. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how many people who have watched it, who are watching now, who have watched that trailer.
I've seen it.
And by all means, I am itching for that film. I am itching because I've been keeping up to date. They've only filmed 25% of that entirety of that film. Yet the trailer shows that they've practically done it all. So you're just wondering what they're going to do. I'm hoping they'll go back into production by as early as November. Or even maybe they may be in production right now. We just don't know it. And they've just been telling us a little bit of a riddle that they're...
Maybe.
Oh, look at you with your comic book pun there, Owen. Very well put.
Oh, yeah.
Impressive.
I'm looking forward to this film because it's got one of my more favorite DC villains.
Oh. So lame.
Are you trying to mark me, James?
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So
it's only because you walk around like a penguin. Right.
Gosh.
Oh, you. Yeah. So I'm really looking for that film. I've been looking into what's been going on with it, but I think everyone that didn't like Robert Pattinson as cast as Batman firmly just got slapped in the face by watching this trailer, because I believe they are now keeping their mouths shut, because that trailer was whoo. bloody brilliant in my opinion.
Yeah, I watched it though, but I don't want to come across as two-faced. But
God, name.
Oh goodness.
So,
Goodness me.
Without the puns aside for the second, I did watch the trailer, and I do think there's been a few comments around it, and I do kind of agree with it. But Robert Pattinson, he looks like an emo playing Batman. Like an emo.
You're not really selling
kid.
this to me at all, really.
No,
really
I think you'd have to watch the trailer. This is what I want to
I
add
don't know
on
how
to
bothered
it,
I am
yeah.
about Batman. He's not my favourite DC hero. I think we're going to go Aquaman all the way.
I prefer Marvel anyway, to be honest.
I like the Marvel films. I do like them.
Mostly, yeah.
They got it right when they collabed everyone together. The DC hadn't really done that as well as they could have done. I think they're better at doing solo films. So, like for instance, Joker that came out last year, a solo film that was good. I think this Batman is obviously they've confirmed that this Batman is not related to the Joker film. They've completely said that.
Yeah.
Right, I think as a solo film, I think it's going to be doing way better than most other things.
Okay.
That's what I think that's going to happen. I think they're better at doing solo films than they are doing a franchise film. Obviously, they have the outlet to do that, which they've tried, but they've tried that with animated and now on screen. They are better at doing it animated, in my opinion. But so yeah.
So
but we also
that is Owen's good news for the week, and
that's my good news. But I may as well just at least elaborate on. We got a trailer for the new Wonder Woman 84 film that's come out.
1984, yeah.
1984,
which does actually look good.
That does actually look quite good. I'll happily say for your sake, the Aquaman trailer was very good, and the Aquaman film was very good. Wonder Woman was very good, and I think this one is good, but I don't think it'll be as good as the original. I think.
No.
I think they've got a bit of a. I like the fact they're introducing Cheetah finally, because we haven't had many chances to see Cheetah on the screen, so it'll be quite interesting to see her.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. All right, Nicola. What's your fun thing or good news of the week?
It's difficult to say. Well, a little bit of excitement in terms of like my badminton groups are getting sort of started again. I think it's only singles at the moment, but courts can be booked. And so, obviously when my leg injury is soon going to be better, and then I can go and play badminton again. So that makes me feel a little bit happy. Oh, and I did really enjoy your little cooking challenge this week, James, because I think you did really
yesterday.
well. And I particularly loved the cheesecake. It looks so good.
Yeah. I think it's just proof that I'm a genius, I suppose.
I know I've long thought it. I just needed it confirmed. Really, that was it.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, so I got challenged to a Ready Steady Cook. So Ready Steady Cook is like Nicola just turned up with some random ingredients, and I had to make some food out of it. And I think it's definitely one of those desserts that's probably going to ripped off by proper restaurants. Was a crushed digestive biscuit covered in Angel Delight as improvised cheesecake. And do you know what? Tasted great.
That people have in their cupboard. I just think it's genius. It's such a good idea.
I just thought it was funny. And then I created a main meal, which was like a Chinese rice one frying pan thing. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch the video. And you can laugh at me thinking about it and planning it out. And I suppose, what's my good thing of the week?
What's your thing, James?
My thing was, actually, yesterday, I did really enjoy making that. It was really funny. It did make me giggle. Like a lot. Because I was like, what am I going to do? I've got it. Eureka.
Eureka.
Yeah. Eureka.
God, that was like easing you in. Obviously next time be much more random.
It was a real dig moment. Yeah. I mean, I do, because a lot of our young people never would have heard of, even, or let alone seen Ready Steady Cook. But you can probably find it on YouTube. But it's a presenter and chef called Ainsley Harriott who was mainly part of it, wasn't he? He
could have been doing a little bit of that shuffling stuff.
Do you know what? I really should have. But the only person
you missed it.
No, but the only person that would have got it would have been you.
That's fine.
Because none of the young people would understand what I'm going on about. Yeah, as long as we're amused, that's what's most important.
These are the key components.
Yeah, but yeah. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. They got it for Ready Steady Cook.
Oh my god.
So this is Ready Steady Cook. Thinking about it, I should have ripped off that beginning, shouldn't I, and played it. So yeah, that's Ready Steady Cook for those that don't know. Genius. Yeah, so I had loads of fun doing that, to be honest. It was a good Thursday. So thank you very much for the challenge, Nicola. But yeah, we're going to finish there. But thank you very much for joining us and saying hello. If you've got any questions about the news we've covered, please let us know. But we can say bye, everybody.
See you later.
Bye.
See you guys.